Hi, Steve. Thanks for taking time to participate in this interview. If you would, please introduce yourself.
So I'm Steve Epner. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been in profit and not-for-profit companies. I worked as an educator. I was a professor at St. Louis University in the MBA program, and I was the innovator in residence for SLU. I had my own consulting practice for 38 years. And after I tried to retire, a little company here in town named Boeing hired me as their entrepreneur in residence.
Great. If you would, tell us about why you became a mentor. If you'd like to share some of your experience as a mentor.
Well, the first thing is really important. None of us that have made it in business have done it by ourselves. We've all had mentors. We've all had people who've helped us along the way. And I felt that when I've reached this stage in my life, I sold the business, I've got the time, I wanted to give back. I wanted to try and help other people like others had helped me along the way. So I'm in that position. It keeps me engaged. It also keeps me out of my wife's hair. She once said, "We got married for better or for worse, not for lunch. Please go out and do something." So this has given me something to do that I've really enjoyed. And I learn as much from my mentees as I think they learn from me. And I've been involved in many different businesses. And at any given time, I have between 15 and 20 mentees that I'm helping. And I think it's great. It's just fantastic. And to me, the greatest result of being a mentor is when somebody says to you, "Steve, you have made a difference in my life." I mean, I cannot tell you what that's worth. It's worth more than money. And I'm just so happy that I'm in a position that I can do this. And in some cases, I will have somebody who will say to me, "Steve, thank you for keeping me from losing my life savings." Because in working through the ideas for their business, I'll sometimes show them, this may not be the right idea for you. And I'll ask the questions and I'll help them do the research. And then they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, Steve, you just saved me. Thank you, thank you, thank you." And that makes it worth everything.
Isn't that a good feeling? My
It
goodness.
really is. It really is. I don't know if you want me to talk about a couple of the mentees. I've had
Sure, that'd be great.
one that comes to mind, which I think was one of my great success stories. We had a young man, and he was in charge of sales for his company. He had just graduated from St. Louis University. I helped him get his first job. And he calls me and says, "I'm out here selling, but we're not really getting things done." And I'm a metrics guy. So I said, "Let's start looking at the numbers." And we started examining. And it turned out that he and the other salesmen on the team were spending so much time doing cold calls to get appointments that they didn't really have enough time to actually do the selling. So I said, "Look, let's try an experiment." And we talked to his boss and got permission to spend some money. And we hired somebody whose sole job was to do outbound phone calling and set up appointments. And that person got paid for every appointment he set up. Well, now the salespeople were spending their time selling instead of cold calling. And they took the company and basically increased it in size by about 10 times. And they came back and credited me. I just asked the right questions, but they credited me with asking the questions and getting them to put in process this outbound calling, which allowed the company to be much more successful. And it was wonderful. And sometimes, like I said, it's just listening. People come into business and they've got an idea. And sometimes as a mentor, you have to tell them, "Step back. Is this really the right idea? Who are you going to sell it to? Why do they want to buy it? How are you better and different from all of the alternatives in the marketplace?" And I find by just asking the right questions, we learn so much about each other. People learn when they have to pivot, and they learn to do things a little differently, which in most cases helps them be much more successful.
You mentioned about listening. That's also based on your years of experience, having gone through those kind of situations.
Oh boy, I tell them all, we learn from our mistakes, and sometimes I wish I wouldn't learn so much, but I'm going to help them not have to make all the same mistakes I have. So one of the programs that I do through SCORE is Consulting 101. and having run a consulting business of my own for 38 years, I've learned a lot along the way. And I'm able to tell them, here are all the things that didn't work for me, as well as the things that did. And by doing that, people are able to understand everything doesn't happen so simple. It's tough. You have to work at it. And you hear about all of these disasters with small businesses, but I found if people get started on the right foot, if they have a realistic outlook at what it's going to take, how much time they've got to put in, there are many more successes than you would ever think. And we've done so many special programs. SCORE has worked with the St. Louis Community College and with the St. Louis libraries. We do a program called Encore Entrepreneurs, which is just for people who are over 55 who would like to set up a business. Maybe they've been right-sized, downsized, or undersized. They want to be able to earn extra income. They're not ready to just retire. And we have a program to help them that understands where they are in life and helps them take step by step to get a small business started and provide that little bit of extra income that they need. It's just wonderful. And I thank SCORE so much for giving me all of these opportunities to help.
Thanks for sharing that story. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the other volunteers?
I'd say that the most important thing, it's always about them. And that's probably the toughest thing for some people who have been in a position of control and management where things circled around them all the time. And I think the hardest thing for some of us to learn is this isn't about us. It's not about us looking good. It's not about us knowing all the answers. It's about helping somebody else learn how to find the answers. I think asking questions and letting our mentees come up with the answers is probably the most important lesson we have. We've been through it all. We've made our mistakes. We can share our stories with them, but then let them do the research. Let them figure out how to move forward and just keep asking the questions so they have a chance to make the best decisions for themselves.
Thanks so much, Steve. That was very enlightening. I
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you. I really enjoyed and I appreciate this opportunity to give back.